Hello everyone, welcome to Animation XChange. My name is Hector Abraham and I am a character rigger currently working at Sony Pictures ImageWorks on the animation division, and I am very happy to be here today. Thank you very much for the invitation. I hope you all guys learn something on this event. That is a great opportunity to make new connections, to learn more things, and to have more motivation to continue in this industry also. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about my experience, some of the things I've done to be able to achieve my dream job or to work on some projects. And at the end, I will also explore some rigging techniques with Autodesk Maya about one of the rigs I've done in the past. That is this octopus that you see right now in the screen. I will have a little demonstration on it also at the end, but I'm gonna start talking a little bit about my experience in the industry and how is that I am a character rigger at Sony Pictures nowadays. Okay, so here we go. Who I am. As I said, I'm Hector Abraham Torres, a character TD at Sony Pictures ImageWorks. I am character TD/rigger. I consider that a character TD has also some knowledge of scripting, sculpting, and character simulation probably. So I consider that a character TD is a rigger with a couple other skills that are similar than rigging, as character sculpting. We need to do blend shapes, or character simulation, doing simulation for our rigs, or scripting, that is something very important to speed up our rigs. So that's why I consider that we on Sony are character TDs, because we do sculpting, we do scripting, and rigging. And I believe that the most important skill for an artist is discipline. That's why also I have this phrase here, because I think that discipline is very important. You can be very smart, but if you don't have discipline, you're not going to succeed. So it's that most important skill on this industry, and this is something that I'm gonna talk about on this speak. I will talk a little bit about my background. I studied on Anáhuac Mayab University. It's a university from Mexico. I am from Mexico, by the way, that's why I have this accent. I also studied on Keyframe Animation School. That is an online school that teaches rigging and animation, sculpting. Also CG Masters Academy. I took one workshop there with Wade Ryder. That is he was a rigger at DreamWorks, and now he's working at Sony Pictures. So he's my teammate now. And I took a workshop with him like 6 years ago, and now we are teammates, and that's amazing. And I also learned a lot on the Gnomon workshops. They have a lot of tutorials and workshops about everything that you can imagine on the animation industry. So take notes of those pages. When I was like 20 years, I received my first opportunity to work on a big project. That was this one. This was my first introduction to the animation industry. It was Max Steel Turbo Warriors. It was a movie for Cartoon Network, and I remember I received this call from a friend that he was the supervisor of this film, and he told me like, "Hey, we need one rigger. Do you wanna work with us?" And I was like, "Sure." It was my first big experience. I've worked in the past on some freelance projects, but little ones, nothing big. And this was my first experience as a rigger on a TV film. A supervisor was Alex Almar, and we were 5 riggers on the team. I've learned the most, especially about skinning, for example. I did a lot of skinning of that movie, and it gave me a lot of experience to be able to get my next jobs. So it's very important to start with something. You need to start with a job that is going to give you experience to get a better job, and then a better job, and you need to have all these different experiences. So there's no bad experience. I started working on very little freelances. Then because of that experience, I had the opportunity to work on a bigger project that was Max Steel, a project for Cartoon Network. And now, because I had this experience, that doesn't mean that you need to stop studying and just keep working. No, you never stop studying. That's very important. So even that I was already working on Max Steel on this, I mean, it was a big film, not as big as I don't know, like Disney or some feature film project, but it was bigger than everything I've worked in the past. So what I did, instead of just continue working and try to convince myself that I was good enough, I continue studying. So I also bought these books. I recommend these ones. These are some of the books I recommend, so you guys can take notes if you want. The Art of Moving Points by Brian Tyndall, who is a character 2D at Pixar Animation Studios. He's the best rigger slash modeler about topology. So in this book, The Art of Moving Points, you will learn everything about facial topology. I think it's the best book I've read in my life. It's really good. You will learn everything about facial topology and deformations. I also recommend Anatomy for 3D Artists. It's this one here. Anatomy for Sculptors. It's very important to learn anatomy if you want to be a modeler, a rigger, an animator, whatever you want to be. Anatomy is always going to be a good skill. Probably if you're going to be a lighter, or you're going to work on compo, maybe not. But for any other area, I think anatomy is very important. I also read this book that is called Character Creation in Maya. It's this one, also very good. And I also learned ZBrush. So I kept studying. Sorry. Opportunities were there. Once I finished working on Max Steel, I started working on Fox International channels. We worked mainly for two different channels that were Baby TV and Tomavision. They are mostly kids channels. So Fox International channels have these different kind of channels. These two were some of them, and I worked there on a lot of TV shows. You can see the names there. You probably don't know them because they are not very big TV shows. There are some images of the shows. I worked on Bradley and B, and also one of the important things on these shows is that I was the lead of these projects. So these were the first projects in which I had experience of leading a team, and I had the responsibility of all the rigs. So it was a big deal because on Max Steel I had the backup of my supervisor, of my leads. I wasn't the most experienced rigger, so it's a different pressure. Now that you are the lead, that you are the head of the rig department, you have the responsibility of everything on the show. Like anything that is not working on the rig, you need to be able to solve it. So it's very different. I worked here for 3 years on Fox. I worked on a lot of TV shows like all these ones, Alien Guru, Snail Trail, Mary Bonds, Kaleli Lolu, a lot of TV shows for kids. And I was ready to give the next step. I always wanted to see my name on theaters, to be able to work on feature films and all these projects. Since I was a kid, I always loved to draw. So my main dream was to be able to live in another country, because I worked all these projects on Mexico, where I was living. I'm from Mexico, so I worked all of them there, but I wanted to move forward to the United States or to Canada to work on a big studio, like a feature film studio. That was my objective since I was little. I mean, not little, but since I was in high school. So I started on the 3D animation, not industry, but on these paths. When I was in high school, I started learning 3D modeling and texturing. I started with that when I was in high school. And once I started university, I was already into rigging. So I had 4 years on university to be able to learn rigging on my side. I wasn't just receiving what the university gave me. That is good to learn what your professors can teach you, but it's very important to learn by your side. Like, I can't remember how many YouTube tutorials and websites I visit and learn when I was at university. I think at least 50% of my free time was invested into learning something on YouTube, on digital tutors, on Gnomon, on something. So it's very important to be that guy who has this discipline more than all the others to be able to succeed. Everyone is going to school 5 hours and learning their 5 hours, but you need to give that extra. That's what I've always done, like give that extra and learn by yourself, because nowadays it's very easy. We have the internet, we have all these platforms, all these connections. You can ask me whatever you want. When you have questions, you can ask anyone in the industry or anyone. Better never be afraid of asking something to someone, especially if it's something that is going to make you a better artist or is going to teach you something. You need to be that person that asks. It's very important to practice on your free time. So I've always done that. And finally, when I was working here and I graduated from university too, I received an offer from MIKROS Animation Studio. That is a studio based in Canada, in Montreal. That is a very, 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 very cold place. You can see on this image. This is me learning how to live in the snow. I am from Mexico, so you can imagine the difference of weather. Like, Mexico is very hot, and then Montreal, Canada is very cold. So there was a very different weather. It was a new whole adventure. I was contacted by MIKROS Animation to work on the SpongeBob movie, that is this one in the center. So of course, the negotiation went well, and I moved to Montreal, to Canada. And it's been probably the best decision I've made. I was very happy at MIKROS Animation. I was there for more than a year, almost 2 years. And I had the opportunity to work on SpongeBob and Paw Patrol. But all this was a very different experience, and this is something that probably a lot of you are going to experience at some point. Go to another country, make new friends. It's gonna be a new country, new friends, new weather, new apartment, new everything. Everything is gonna change, the culture, everything. But you need to adapt. That's something very important, especially in this industry. I think, on the animation industry, if you want to work on the top studios or top projects, it's something that you're going to need to experience at some point, and this is totally worth it. You're going to learn a lot of things, and not just technical skills like the ones that they're going to learn at the studio, but you're going to learn a new language. I mean, I've always speak Spanish and English, but I was used to speak Spanish all day. Like here in Canada, I'm actually practicing my English now. And in MIKROS, they speak French also, because Montreal is a city, it's a French city, kind of French and British city. So they have both languages. So this was also an adventure, because on the ring team, I was the only one speaking English and Spanish. All my teammates were French. So that was that was fun, and I learned a lot at MIKROS Animation. I always say thank you to MIKROS for this opportunity to work with them. It was amazing. I met amazing artists, and the experience of working on a feature film is awesome. Like, it's a whole team of talented artists with the same objective. You go to that theater, like MIKROS have theater on the studio, so you go to the theater, to the dailies, or to some meetings, and you see on the big screen what you are doing, the deformations of your characters. All that is really amazing, like the experience of working on a big studio for a feature film. I think that feature film, in comparison of TV show, is very different. Like, the quality of a feature film is a lot better, like higher. I mean, not always, but like on this kind of project it is. And you can see it, like every detail, every decision is a big thing. Like they don't take easy decisions. So I work on these two projects. One is SpongeBob that was released 2020, last year I think. And this is a Paw Patrol movie that is going to be released on August 20 on the big screen on theaters and on Paramount Plus. We finished this movie like a year ago, and I stopped working on this project a time ago, but it's going to be released now because of COVID and a lot of things. They moved up the movie to those dates. But it's going to be a great movie. If you go to see the movie and you wait for the credits, you will be able to see my name at the end. And well, I finished to work on Paw Patrol, and I was ready for my next project. That was on Vancouver, and I moved again. So I stayed in Canada, but I moved from Montreal to Vancouver. That is on the other side of Canada, and is this city that is here. It's a beautiful city, and I'm living here right now. And I moved to work to Icon Creative Studios because they offered me. The offer was very good. Talking about the project, like I wanted to work on this project since I was a kid on Monsters Inc. franchise, and we worked on this Monsters at Work TV show that is going to be on Disney Plus on July 2, so very soon. Is on 1 month, less than 1 month. So I'm very excited about that. And since I heard about this project a long time ago, it was very weird because actually I received, while I was working at MIKROS, I received an offer to work on this project, but on another country. I will not say details because I don't know if I can, but I received an offer to go to France and work on this project, which I had to say no because I was working on Paw Patrol at that moment, and I was a very important piece on that project because I was working on the main characters in the movie. But then something happened that this project on France didn't succeed, and they moved the project to Vancouver to Icon Creative. So I received this offer on December, like to work on France on this project, and then on April maybe of last year, it was April, something like that, or March maybe, I received an offer to work on this project, but in Vancouver, and I was like, how is that possible? Like how this project was in France, like that doesn't make sense. But yes, I received this offer on March now to work on Monsters at Work, but with Icon Creative here in Vancouver, and we were almost finishing Paw Patrol, so now it was a good moment to leave and to finish Paw Patrol and now start to Monsters at Work. So times worked somehow, like I don't know how, but everything worked out at the end, and they accepted to wait for me until I finished Paw Patrol to be able to start at Monsters at Work. So I moved from Montreal to Vancouver to work on this project that has been the most fun project I've ever worked. Like really, it was super fun, bringing a lot of monsters and different kind of characters. I think it's a project I've enjoyed the most, for sure. And when I finished Monsters at Work, I started working on this TV show for Alice in the Wonderland. This is a TV show that is going to be released next year. So it's not finished yet. Monsters at Work is already finished. But I worked on this project for a little bit. And then I received an offer from Sony Pictures Imageworks to start working on an awesome feature film that I think I cannot say the name, but it's a super cool project, like really super cool. and I accepted. So I start this year on January. So I've been 6 months on Sony, and I accepted this offer. I've been very happy working here. I think it's probably the best place in which I can work as a rigger. The rigging, everything, the rigging team is amazing here, and the quality they have is really amazing. They are everyone is like super talented, and you learn things every day. So this year Sony Pictures Imageworks worked on Hotel Transylvania 4 that is going to be released on July, and they also worked on The Mitchells versus the Machines that was released on Netflix like 2 months ago. You must take a look. It's a very, very, very well done film for Netflix. And now we are working on 2 more projects that are still kind of confidential. I mean, they're not very confidential, but they're very cool projects. So I hope to show some stuff soon, because it's gonna be a great project. You will see in the next couple years. And this is, I have this picture because I took this picture when I arrived to Vancouver. I took this picture and I said to myself, I'm gonna work here one day, because I was working at Icon at that moment when I arrived into Vancouver. So I took this picture and I said to myself and to my mom, I remember, I'm gonna work here. So that was my goal in Vancouver, and now I'm very thankful that it happened, and I'm very happy for these two. And well, other than that, I am a character rigging instructor slash professor, something like that. I am a character rigging mentor at Rigging Dojo. Rigging Dojo is a platform for riggers in which they teach all kind of rigging, like all kind, whatever you want to learn about rigging, you can learn that on Rigging Dojo. I think it's the most rigging focused page or school in the world. Like, if you're a rigger, you need to know what Rigging Dojo is, and you can learn everything there. They have a coast, that's why I am a mentor there. Like, it has a coast, but it's a very good school. They have tutorials, and they have also mentorships. I am the mentorship for the cartoony rigging, let's say, just cartoony rigging. Like, if you want to learn cartoony rigging and you want a mentorship, I'm gonna probably be the one that is going to assist you on that. If you want to learn realistic rigging, someone else is going to assist you. If you want to learn scripting, Python, C++, simulation, whatever you want to learn, it's gonna be a different mentor. So I am the mentor for cartoony rigging, especially for facial rigging, cartoony facial rigging, but I am also for cartoony rigging. I've also thought like octopus and stuff like that. So you can take a look if you want to get into rigging, to Rigging Dojo. Not just for me, like there's a lot of mentors there and a lot of lections and courses that I am not involved, but they all are great. Another one is the Gnomon Workshop. It's a very, I mean, I've mentioned that in the past. They have workshops for everything, not just rigging, like modeling, sculpting, lighting, Photoshop. So you can take a look to that website too. And I am also an instructor on Keyframe Animation School, and I developed the rigging classes on VCAT, that is a university here at Vancouver. This is the last workshop I've done with the Gnomon. As I mentioned, the Gnomon Workshops has a lot of workshops in which I have only one. Only one is mine. And I released this workshop 2 months ago. It's called Creating Stylized Facial Rigs for Production in Maya. So you can take a look to the website. It's the Gnomon Workshop. We are gonna do this rig on the workshop. If you are interested in rigging, you can take a look to this facial rigging workshop. It's just like 4 hours, something like that. It's not like a long workshop or course. It has a cost. It's not the workshop, the one that has a cost. It has a subscription to the Gnomon Workshop. But you can take a look to all these. I also recommend CG Masters Academy. those are like longer workshops, like for 2 or 3 months. I am not an instructor there, but those ones are awesome too. I also recommend Animation School. It's another school for rigging that is very good. The thing is that it's a little bit more expensive, and this 1 year program is Anim School. You can write on your notes. Anim School I think is probably the best one, but it's 1 year and it's more expensive, so it depends on what you're looking for. Another one that is good is Animation Mentor, but that's for animation, not for rigging. So these are the ones that I know for rigging. If you have any question, you can contact me. Like, I will answer you. I sure. Like, you can send me an email to here. I think I prefer on my Instagram probably. If you have any question, like you want to ask me something, you can write me something on my Instagram. I think it's the most easy way. Or you can send me an email if it's something longer. But feel free to do it. I'm gonna respond. Don't worry. I also have a LinkedIn that is Hector Abraham T, Chart TV. You can take a photo here. But well, I want to show you a little bit about this octopus rig. I've talked to you in the past. I have this rig open here. Give me 1 second. There it is. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so everyone can hear me, right? We are back to life. So I want to show you a little bit about this octopus. I will focus on the face. I don't want to show a lot of the things that were done on the tentacles because it's a little bit, it's not more complex, but I don't think I think it can be improved maybe. So I will share with you the face that I think is the most appealing part of this octopus. Well, first I will move a little bit this rig so you can see how this works. This is, for example, the main control this is the root control. I will now go to the face. We have all these kind of controls. This is what we do at rigging. We do different controls for our 3D characters, so they can make different expressions. For example, this control drives the left corner of the mouth here. You drive it up, it's like that. And then you have different controls to have different kinds of expressions. And the most important part is to have appealing expressions for our characters. We want our characters to look believable, that they look alive. So it's not just, we don't want to feel this like a robotic feeling. We want our octopus to feel alive, our character, so that's what we do at rigging. We have even little controls for little parts. General controls for the mouth. And same for the other areas. Like on animation, we want to have exaggeration. We want to have squash and stretch. So it's different when you have this kind of controls in which you can make some squash and stretch, for example, here too. You can see this volume preservation. And we also make controls for everything, like if we want a blink, I have, for example, on this octopus, some blinking system, so you can do a blink. You can also make expressions with your eyes, like this is now angry, for example. And if I move the brows down, I will have a different shape, but I want to move only this area, so we have specific controls for each area, because this doesn't give you a lot of control for expressions, so you need to have real controls too, like these ones. And now you can make like an angry face. You can now move, for example, this down. And this is what animators do, like we do the controls, we do all these interfaces, and animators are the ones that move these controls to have an animation.
I will show you a little bit about how is this done. I mean, I will not do a complete thing because we don't have enough time, but I want to show you like how is this kind of done. If someone has already some reading knowledge, he's going to understand a little bit more because I'm gonna maybe be more technical now, but it's okay. Like just so you have an idea of how this is done, I will show everything behind the screens. Like right now, you can only see the characters, and this is what we deliver to animators. But but on back of all these, there's a world. If I go to display, show all, and by the way, we always use Autodesk Maya. That's the main software I've always used since I started, like on Max Steel for Cartoon Network, on Fox, on MIKROS, on Sony, and Icon, they all use Autodesk Maya. So if you want to get into reading, I recommend you reading and animation especially. I recommend you Autodesk Maya. If it's for modeling, I think you can learn any software because it doesn't really matter. But for reading, I think Autodesk Maya is the stronger one, the strongest. So look at this. Yes, that's what I wanted to show. We have all these joints, all this setup, all these on the face, and we have different faces. If you see, all these are blend shapes. I'm gonna probably explain this a little bit more at the end. But we have all these blend shapes, for example, up cheeks, eyebrows, corners, mouth corners actually. So you can see different kind of expressions here. Grab this tree from this one. So you can see that all these expressions are actually the ones that I can do here. Are these ones. So these are with blend shape. I'm going to explain this a little bit later. But for all these little controls, I have these faces in the middle. If you see, when I move this one, this face is moving. So I have 1, 2, 3 faces merged in one. So there's 3 faces that do those different things. Like one is for the mouth, one is for the brows, and one is for the eyelids. You will see here. Okay, I'm gonna reset my pose just so everything is neutral. There it is. Now we don't have any movement. If you see, all these faces are neutral too. So if I move here I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger. If I move my eyelid, we have all these joints here. There's a whole reading system here. It's a little bit complex. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but you can see all the little joints and the influences of the rig. I have one per loop, and this is a curve-driven system. And these make our character to be able to have all these deformations on the eyelids. And now on the other geometry, I have the lips. The lips, for example. This is also what I call ribbon. It's a rigging thing. Like if you want to take a look into ribbon, you can search that later. But it's something that we use a lot on a lot of our systems. I use this for the mouth, and for the tentacles, I use kind of the same system. It's called ribbon. And if you see, if I move this joint, there's some joints that are skinned into the surface, and the surface has a lot of little joints here that are being driven by the surface. So when I move the surface, all these little joints are moving with it, and are the ones that are causing this deformation. And I have general controls for all of these. So this is actually, these are the skin joints, are these ones. And they are skinned to the face. And when I move them, they move the lips. You see, this is the same system. We are having the same movements in this area. And all this works in combination with blend shapes. That is all these that I'm going to explain at the end. I'm going to do Control-C. And this is our mouth. And I do the same for the eyebrows. Nowadays, I actually do all of them probably in 1 or 2. I used to separate them because it's easier to see. but you can also do it, all of them in one. So you will only have two different geometries, like this one and the final one, the original one. Because the original one only has the head control, that's it. All the phase system, I do it locally, like in another geometry for performance. Because when you move your octopus, like when you move your master control, all these things are not moving. And that's what you want, because it's gonna save you a lot of performance, it's gonna be faster for animators. So it's a good technique to do, like doing the face on different geometries and then connect at the end with a blend sheet. That's, I think, what every big studio does. And what else? Let me check. Okay, yes, we have the eyebrows here. For this, I only use this axis for the brows. If I move this up and down, these are blend shapes actually. So I'm gonna show you that a little bit. These charts don't do a lot, they just do rotations. But for main translations, I have blend shapes. So if you see when I move this up, I have these creases here, I have this blend shape. That is brow blend shapes. Let me see, where are they? Okay, yes, that is, it's probably one of these. I don't know which one. But it must be one of these ones. And when I move, each of the controls is activating a different blend shape. So if I move this up, we can see, for example, this down, or both down. Let's check. Okay. We can see, if we click our geometry, we can see all the blend shapes, and we can see that these two are the ones that are being activated. It's called right in, eyebrow down sculpt, and the left one. They are on point 53. I keep moving this down. They have a different value now, it's 0.968. So I'm not going to explain a little bit about blend shapes. So basically what a blend shape is that you can duplicate this geometry. I'm going to sculpt something here, for example, just like, I don't know, whatever you want, like expression like that, let's say. Okay, just like something like that, imagine. And what I do is that I have my sculpt, then the normal geometry, the one that is neutral. We go to rigging, before, blend shape. We have this menu, I will just click. I already have a blend shape, so I should actually add, not create, but I'm going to create, I'm going to call test blend shape. Now here is. And if you see, if I activate this, here's my test blend shape, what I just did. And if I turn this into one, I have that movement. And I have that movement in the final phase because this is also connected with a blend shape to this one that is always on. So everything that happens here, if I move actually, I think I'm gonna not, yes, I can't because I have a lot of deformers here. But if I move this, like with a cluster probably, if I move this geometry with whatever, this is going to move, like all the time. It's a blend shape that is always activated at one. So that's a technique I use for all these. And then you just connect the control, that when the control strikes up to one, this blend shape is going to activate. So instead of just having this, I have all these blend shapes. And you need to be sure that all your blend shapes are able to work together. That's the tricky part. That's tricky part. Because it's very easy to make one blend shape, but to make one blend shape that does this, where is my piece? Okay. So one blend shape that does this, and when you activate the next one, this needs to drive like well together to have a nice intersection, a smooth, you need to make them look smooth, not different. Like they all get well together. And I think that's the tricky part of doing blend shapes. For example, here there are 3 different blend shapes. This one for here up, another one for this part up, another one for this part up. And we all together make a nice crease, that's the idea. And when you move them down, it's the same, especially when you move left and right at the same time. If I move this one here, it's not moving anything on this side, but I have another vector for this side. And when they both are together, they make these creases here. And it's the same for the mouth. I have some chips also for the mouth. There are all these ones. And you can see them there. So this is basically what I wanted to show you, like how I do my rigs. It's a combination of blend shapes and joints. Every studio has different setup. Like I've been in studios in which they only use joints, they only use blend shapes. And I've been in studios in which they only use blend shapes too. So I think the best is to have a combination of both because they both have advantages and disadvantages. But it's nice to know everything. Like it depends on what you want to do and the results you want. So I don't know if anyone has any question or something, or yeah, let me know. I think we have some time for questions.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Hector. I'm going to just take the mic around for a quick 5-minute question session. Oh gosh.
Okay.
Okay, does anyone have any questions? Oh, there's one at the back. Let me bring the mic to you.
Hey Hector.
Hello.
Hey man, I just wanted to ask about the blend shapes that are for like the specific mouth parts on the sides. Technically, you could probably delete them, right? Do you just keep them there as a backup?
Yes, actually.
Okay.
That's a good question. Yes, I can actually delete all these. I keep them because as this is a personal rig, maybe I will want to modify them later. But yes, you can actually delete all these. And this is going to be working because Maya saves everything by vertex movement. So yes, that's a good question. And yes, the ones that I can't delete are the ones that have skin, like these ones in the middle, because they have skin. But then shapes, yes.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, cool.
Okay, cool. It's me again. Another question was I'd just like to know whether you had to work remotely when you were in Canada, and like what were challenges that you had to face with that overseas.
Yeah, that's a nice question. Yes, we were working, I think we started working remotely when I was at MIKROS on Paw Patrol when we were out, like finishing the movie almost, like in April. And it's very different because you don't work on your computer like a freelance. So you work on the studio's computer with a connection, with VPN connection. So you cannot have the files on your computer because everything is very confidential. And for example, we need to connect to some apps and some links, and we are controlling remotely our computer on the studio. So our computer at the studio is working. Everything we are doing at home is at the studio's computer. Like we are moving remotely the computer from the studio. So that's something that was very weird for me at the beginning. But one thing is that you don't have access on your computer with anything. Everything is very confidential, especially with Sony, for example. We even have our own computer here at home. They give us like a little computer. It's not our personal computer, and with that computer we connect to our computer at the studio, and we're driving it from here. So that's a different experience because you need to have a very good internet. If you have like a bad internet, you are going to see a lot of lag in that connection. And so you depend a lot on your connection. That's something important. But I think, everyone here has a good connection, and if not, the studio provides you a good connection, like with a provider or something. And one of the challenges I think is communication. When I started at Sony, especially, I was in training and all this, and it was very hard to to adapt to an online remote training on a studio like Sony, because you don't have people around you to help you, and you kind of need to see how you do things. And you can ask on the chat, and we do, for example, in all the studios I've been working remotely, we do meetings all days. We start with a meeting at 9 a.m. of the morning. We have like a 30 minutes meeting just to know what's going on and that. And sometimes also on the afternoons, but we have meetings all days. That's something interesting that, well, when you are freelancing or something, you don't have meetings all days. But I am enjoying it. I enjoy to work from home. What Sony says is that we're going to probably work like on a hybrid system once we get back to the studio. So I'm looking forward for that. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but the good thing is that studios are actually looking for implementing hybrid systems or to be able to accept remote work. I think that's very good for the industry because sometimes it's hard to move. And this COVID thing gives the opportunity to everyone in this industry to see that it's actually possible to work remotely, and I think that's good.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, I think with COVID and everything, we've all had to learn how to adapt, and now there's a lot of opportunities actually for people in different countries to work for really cool studios that we might have not had the opportunity for before, because now we realize we actually can work remotely. So thank you for sharing that with us. It's very interesting to hear how you guys are working over there. And thank you for your time with the presentation and showing us, your rigging system here with the octopus. It was really interesting. And I think a lot of people are enlightened, so thank you so much for sharing this with us.
Thank you very much, everyone. I'm very happy. I was very happy to be here, and I hope we see one day there.
Cool, thank you. Okay, cool. So now we're going to have our first student showcase. It's Kubulandi. So if you guys want to come up and get your stuff set up so we can go through that.
There we go. Okay. So this is a quick sneak peek of our short film that we're working on called Kubulandi. So just some introductions. I'm Emma Flynn, I'm the production manager as well as lead compositor and animator. Each person will say their roles as we go. And so I'll just do quick ones. This is Ella, Danielle, Brian, Michael, and we have Morgan over here who's helping with the presentation. So he is asset developer as well as an animator. So, I guess to start with is to say that this is our first time even meeting each other for this entire year, so that's exciting. But what else is really exciting is that this is also our first time that anyone's seen anything of our production, so pretty cool. And we're told to speak about something to do with Maya because this is a Maya sponsored event. So there's a lot of ways we could have gone through because there is a lot we have done. So our focus will be on software, and specifically on how we've used Maya as kind of a bridge between problem and solution for the entire year so far. And so each person will get into their own technical parts of how they used it. By tackling, we'll need a bit of an introduction to what Kubulandi is all about. So Kubulandi is set in Bishop, and it is seeing South Africa through eyes that we've never seen before. It is through the eyes of two geckos on a balcony ledge. These two geckos are named Shaka and Musa. From the get-go, the power balance is completely evident. Sorry, this can't forget this one. The power balance is completely evident, and this is further heightened when a bowl of rotting fruit is placed on the balcony ledge. What they don't know is what's about to happen next. This is a regular day in Kubulandi, but what happens next is not so normal. So a bird flies in, and they're all under threat, and that's where I'll leave you, but a couple questions to think about is, what are they going to have to do to get out of this situation as unscathed as possible, and are they willing to make the sacrifices that they have to? So yeah, that's it for me. That's just a backstory of Kubulandi. We're going to move on to Eleanor, who's going to speak a bit about Shaka.
Hey everyone, I'm a Scoochie writer and production designer. My main focus at the start of the year was designing and modeling the geckos. So I'll just be focusing on Sharka. So Sharka is a stubborn and greedy gecko, but he's a bit of a crybaby. So we opted to make him a bit shorter than Musa, as well as more rounded, softer body. And you mainly see his ability and crookedness in his face. And as you can tell, he's based on a pretty iconic character, so we expect him to be pretty expressive. Once the design process was done, I moved into ZBrush, where I did a sculpt of him, and imported that sculpt into Maya, where I used the quadro function to create a clean and topologized version of him. I prefer the quadro function over like box modeling and polygon modeling. Just find it quicker and more precise. So once the body was done, I modeled the eyes and mouthpieces, and then UV unwrapped and textured both geckos. When the team was completed their characters and props, we sent them through to Daniel Basil for rigging.
Hi guys, I'm Danielle. I'm the rigger of the film. It's actually pretty stressful to talk about rigging after that. Obviously, I'm still very new and I'm still a student, and it was actually quite incredible to see the stuff that he did. It's very inspiring, and I hope to be able to be there one day. But please keep expectations low. I will also be talking on behalf of Basil, who also rigged with us. He and I worked very, very hard on our film. We got taught how to do a simple bipedal character, and we ended up with 2 insects, 2 bipedal geckos, and a bird. And for those of you who don't know rigging, a bird is not the easiest thing you want to be doing. So Basil is the one who tackled the bird. The main challenge with the bird is the wings that had to open and be able to close. We tried many different methods, and we ended up creating a very complicated joint system for each feather. And then Basil, with a lot of patience, sets up a very nice attribute for the animators. And I think we got a very good result for a first-time bird rig. He's very proud. And then for me, I was in charge of rigging the 2 main characters, so the 2 geckos. We brought with us today Sharka, our big boy. So the geckos had to have detachable tails. The way that we troubleshoot this is we had 2 rigs for each character, one with the tail, one without the tail, separate, and then rigged as a prop. But what I want to focus on today is the facial rig. So obviously, like Emma said, we have a very action-packed film, very expressive, huge motion, so we really needed a super flexible facial rig. And you do get some auto riggers for facial rigging, but I didn't feel like they were working that well for the geckos, so I actually ended up building from scratch a joint-based facial rig for both the geckos, and we're pretty happy with the results. They make some pretty awesome expressions. So yeah, after my job is done, we send it over to our animators over here, which is Brian.
Hi, my name is Brian van Dijk. I'm the lead animator for this short film. So the biggest challenges that I think we will face with this short film is it's the first time we ever animating a bird or an ant with 6 legs, which is actually really challenging. So we use this studio library to make animating a little bit faster. It's almost like a little cheat. So we do a generic animation and then you add it to the library, and then from there you can just import that animation into your short film. But after that, that's not over. You need to then tweak it, and you need to make it a little more unique and give us the personality it needs. You can't just have that generic movement and the generic look it has. So we are building up this nice studio library with a lot of poses and a lot of animations, and it's actually really, we're enjoying this animation process a lot. So we're keen on seeing the end result of the film. And yeah, so after the animation process, we hand over the exported animation to the loop development.
Hey everyone, My name is Michael Kleinert. I'm the main look-dev artist, but I also helped out with some character and asset texturing, as well as some asset modeling. So I think I speak on behalf of the whole team, excluding Basil, who did the bird, when I said that the most challenging thing we faced was scale. And because this whole film is shot from the perspective of two geckos, you have to get really up close and personal with some really big mesh in comparison to the two geckos. So we had to get really creative in this area, and one of the best examples of this is the balcony. So the balcony is seen throughout the whole film, and we get really close to it. So that texture has to be picture perfect. And we had to get quite creative with this, and I think the best way we ended up doing it is we treated the balcony as a smaller piece of geometry and basically kept the mesh the same size, but divided the UVs up across 20 UV tiles and as you can see, when you get this close, the texture still holds up pretty well. And I'm actually also just heading into look dev, so there's not an awful lot that I can show that is shaded just yet. But here's an example of a character that I textured and shaded, and I'm pretty happy with how it came out. And yeah, but I'm super excited for the shading that still will happen, because because our film basically consists out of 90% plants. There's so much subsurface, and I think if you watch this movie with and without shading, it's going to be two completely different movies. So yeah, we also plan on using XChange to add some pretty realistic aspects like moss in there. So yeah, I can't wait to show off everything we've done and plan on doing at the end of this film, and I hope you guys are as excited as we are.
Cool, so I think you got a little bit from each person. Obviously, we have a bit of a time restriction, so we had to really sum everything up. I think we've got the chance to probably talk about it for hours and hours, and that's kind of what the break is for. If anyone has any questions then, we'll also have a Q&A after this. But just in general, I mean, you can just see how much Autodesk has helped us with this. I mean, the kind of problems we've had to find in this whole production, just because of the nature of the film, is insane, but we've always managed to find a solution, and I hope you guys can see that. And just away from the technical side, I think it was really cool just to be able to show a little bit about what this is about. I mean, it's a story we're really passionate about. We can't go too much into it, as I said, but really, really excited to show you guys. Towards the end of the year, it's going to be finished, but I think you guys will only see it when we run next year. So yeah, on behalf of the entire team, thanks so much for having us, and I think we can open up for Q&A. Over here. I did not ask this person to ask a question to make it as but I have one.
Hi everybody. So as we know, in second year we were rigging and animating human beings. I want to know, what was the biggest challenge from changing from a human being to a biped? What was the challenges you guys faced? Because it is quite a drastic change from 2 legs to 6.
So obviously this is not my field, so I'm going to take it right over to Danielle.
I would say, so a simple biped has a single jointed leg, but when you get into quadrupeds, they have double jointed legs, and that is not fun. That is not fun. They're a bit, I would say, from the animating, just from the motion tests, they're a bit tricky to get them to do what you would like to do, especially if you're not taught how to do a quadruped leg and you're kind of just winging it. It's also not very fun, but you learn a lot, and you make a lot of mistakes, and you learn a lot. But to Brian, you're animation, and there is more.
Yeah, so like the way I thought I could tackle this hand walk cycle at first was to treat it as so we had an animation workshop in the beginning of the year, and we animated like the feet moving together, like both feet, and then at the end you just offset it. But because it was 6 legs, like it didn't quite work out the way I was thinking it's gonna. So I went and I looked at the animator's survival skit to just check out the poses to just see how I could implement this to 6 legs. And then what I did is I looked at a lot of ant reference as well and then I put the contact pose and the down pose and the passing pose as the reference showed me. And I didn't so I animated all those legs moving together, and then at the end I just offset the timing, so that's kind of
It was a challenge for sure.
Does anyone else have any other questions? I feel like it's at the end of a meeting when you're asking any questions. I don't know. We have a lot of PMs here, you know the feeling. I think that's about it. Thanks again so much for having us. So if you guys are interested, can't wait to show you. And thank you.
Okay, cool. Let's not waste any more time. We're gonna have a little quick break so you can rehydrate and dehydrate and do whatever you need to do your necessaries. And then we'll come back in about 10 minutes so that we can carry on with the other 2 student work in progress. Thanks. Okay, I'll go ahead. So we're all ready for our next student showcases. Love Afterlife. And then after that we'll have Sorry for Your Loss. So let's kick it off. Hi guys. Cool. So, how's that? Oh, okay. Cool. So today we're going to be presenting a little bit of work from our short film called Love Afterlife. Just a little description. Our film is centered around themes of love, death, and the pursuit of happiness. So in the beginning, we start off with our main protagonist called Antifi and his wife, Maya, who live in the afterlife. One day, Antifi is dragged from the afterlife and returns to the land of the living, where he finds an archaeologist, Andrew, holding this precious necklace that allows Antifi to remain in the afterlife. Andrew doesn't want to give the necklace back, and there's conflict, and we'll leave it there. Cool, so first we just want to make some introductions from the team. So I'm Sean Saville. I am the production manager, the lead look dev artist, and the character modeler.
Sorry. Hi, my name is Dylan Kroll, and I'm the production designer, and I'm also a rigger and a look dev artist.
Hi, I'm Lloyd Bishop. I'm the lead animator and compositor in the team.
Hi, my name is Carl Smallberg. I am the texture artist, also an asset dev, and I'm an animator.
Hello, my name is Luca Bauer. I'm an animator and I'm also an asset modeler.
Hi, I'm Griselda Delwood, and my role in this production is lead compositor and asset modeler. Unfortunately, 2 of our members couldn't be here tonight, but their names are Hannah and Zaid, and Hannah and Zaid are both animators. Hannah is a rigger, and Zaid is an asset modeler as well. Okay, so when asset modeling, it's important to create personal and reliable environments, and that also means that you have to make a lot of personal props that goes with each individual environment. So this is a golden serving plate that I modeled and textured, and it was just great fun to do all of this. I mean, it's a lot of difficult processes. I mean, handling all of the props and handling all of the textures, you definitely have to be as sufficiently as possible. And it was a great thing that we got a chance to model so many props, because it literally just streamlined us through the process.
As our film is set in Egypt, we had to do a lot of props. These props were kind of unfamiliar to us, so I had to do a lot of research, as is, to make sure we got the culture, the religion, and the way of life right. Through this entire process, everything that we made was to make the environment beautiful, to bring everything to life.
So this is Maya sarcophagus, not to be confused with the name Maya, which is the software. This is MAIA. So this is what I modeled and textured, and what you can see is the hieroglyphs that I decided to use is because essentially in ancient Egyptian times it was believed that with the certain hieroglyphs that you put on the sarcophagus, that will lead the dead to the afterlife. So a lot of research has gone into designing which hieroglyphs is going to go onto this sarcophagus. It's essentially painting a picture of how her life was, you know, where she stood in her family, and all those things. As you can see, it's more a stone effect than pure gold. That's because back in ancient Egypt, women were known as lesser than the kings like King Tut and those guys. So yeah, that's my job.
Cool. So this is Maya. I modeled her in did firstly in ZBrush, made the basic shapes. It was really fun to sculpt her in ZBrush because of her curvy body. We really wanted her to be more round and curvy to suit her more gentle personality. I did a lot of refining in Maya though, way more comfortable in Maya. So the quad drawing tool really helped make the topology work like super well. And I had a bit of issue with her hair. We did a few refinements on the hair and we ended up coming with this sort of design that was a lot more rounded and bigger because her body is quite small, so it complemented her round, gentle figure. And then I also modeled Andrew. He's the archaeologist. He's British, so we also made him ginger because we wanted him to be like Irish British. So yeah, he was really cool to model as well. I really loved making him like super lanky. I've never modeled humans until this year. I modeled like animals last year, so it was really fun to create him. And yeah, we really like him. He's cool.
So I rigged Maya and Andrew. As part of our film, we have a lot of big and rapid movements, so we had to keep that in mind while we built the rigs. We also spent a lot of time on the facial expressions that are blend shape based, so that we can give the animators freedom when they create facial expressions and exaggerate all those fancy emotions. And with Maya's dress, I decided to make it joint and node based, so that it automatically deforms when the leg moves up and down and all those movements. And it also gives the animators manual control if they ever need it.
Cool. So since the animation phase of the pipeline hasn't started just yet, we can't show you any shots from the actual film, but what I can show you is a little demonstration of the Studio Library plugin in Maya, which we'll be using for animation, and this is just a little demonstration on how I did the facial expression test for Andrew. And yeah, this is Studio Library. You can save poses and save animation. As you can tell, these are poses that I did beforehand and saved them out, and now I'm using them again on the latest version of this rig. And yeah, here we go.
Yeah, so that's mostly what we have been up to. We're in the stages of animation, like Lloyd said. So we're really excited to start actually like using these characters in the rigs. It's really fun to see how a character develops through the concept to modeling and then texturing, which is like what I was doing, and then like actually see it move after the rigs are done. So I feel like Dibbled and Hannah did an insanely good job of how they moved, and yeah, we're really excited to eventually show you guys some shots from the film, but for now this is all we have to show, and we're really excited for the end where yeah, we can show you more. Does anyone have questions? Oh, yes.
So obviously you guys use Maya, but I was just wondering if you guys use any other add-ons or what scripts, or whether you use like NG Skin Tools or MGear or things like that.
Hello. So we opted to not use a lot of plugins for the rigging. We do use MGear for Maya's dress joints. There are 16 joint chains wrapped around the dress so that it deforms nicely. But that's the only plugin that I use for rigging.
And Lisa?
No, this was not an interchangeable interaction. I was not paid to ask this question. So the question I wanted to ask was, what is the most difficult thing that you guys have come into contact with in the production, and how have you managed to solve that?
Okay, I can answer this one. I actually think it was the story that we got. It's based in ancient Egypt, and we as a team have never been to Egypt and didn't really know much about it besides like watching some Egyptology videos every now and then because everyone's a little bit interested in Egypt. But other than that, we really didn't want to offend anyone, and we've been taught like not to do things that we don't know. So we really had to do a lot of research into the culture, and we were really stuck with the sort of style we wanted to use. I think it's really interesting to use really cool styles, really stylized styles, but for this one we opted to use more realistic, not like super realism, but like realistic style, so we don't offend anyone with the props that we make. So I guess that's how we got around that. Yeah, just really doing the research that we, doing the research and sticking to what is there.
What were some of the challenges that you had with ZBrush if you hadn't used the program before?
Cool. Yeah, we actually learned ZBrush this year. It was like a 2-week course. Super fun, but really like the learning curve was like, woo! So the most difficult thing for me with ZBrush is actually smoothing out meshes. It's really easy to add a lot of geometry. I think just Andrew's hair got to like 2 million polygons. So yeah, so smoothing that out is like quite challenging for me, and I feel like looking at sculpts like what's his name? Godzilla was made in ZBrush, and I was like, holy moly, how did you do that? I can't even make like a little character's hair. So yeah, I think doing that 2-week course really like taught us a lot, but I needed to really like spend hours and hours trying to smooth stuff out, and like getting shapes is pretty easy, but yeah, that's the most challenging for me.
I've got to elaborate a little bit.
Yes.
If you can hear me, that's fine. So why did you use the ZBrush then? Was it for the syllabus?
No, we didn't actually have to use ZBrush if we didn't want to. It was actually getting the main shapes. You can use a move tool, which is basically you can take a sphere, move it around, and you can create like the head shape in a few minutes. And that was really nice in comparison to like box modeling or it's box modeling in Maya. So it was really nice to get the basic shapes, and then after that I took it back into Maya, put all the like real details like the fingernails and all of that. Then I took it back into ZBrush and did all the displacement map things that you would do. But yeah, that's why I use ZBrush. It was a lot quicker to get the main shapes.
Thank you.
Cool. Anyone else? Oh, all right. Thank you.
Thank you guys, that was awesome. It's very impressive what you guys do as students, like you should definitely be very proud of yourselves, all of you. So our next group that's going to come up did Sorry for Your Loss, if you guys want to head on up here.
Okay, I'm gonna start now because we just managed to fix our technical issues. Hi, my name is Kirsten. I'm the production manager for Sorry for Your Loss, and I just want to introduce you to our story and the team. Our story's name is Sorry for Your Loss, and it was written by Kate. And it follows a fellow bear by the name of Otso, as the challenges of humans and climate change kind of affect his very cozy, or once cozy life. The story is aimed at children and explaining climate change at their level. So we had a lot of fun kind of playing around with the styles of the storybook aesthetic, and the presentation we're just going to walk you through our pipeline with our main character art. So there we go. I'm going to hand over to Kate, our production designer.
Hi. So, as she said, I'm the production designer and also character modeler and texturer. This is our character also. So, as she said, we wanted to go for a storybook sort of feel, and so I love illustrations and watercolor, and I really wanted to try and bring watercolor into 3D. This was a dream since I wrote the story, and I was like, I'm going to do it. So I tried my best, and I think it worked pretty well. Our team is doing really well with that. And yeah, next to modeling. So with modeling the character, there were a few problem areas that we had to kind of work around. So his legs are really short. So we had to make sure that we could still make him walk. And I thought I did that. And then I got the rig back to animate, and I really struggled. I'm still struggling. So that was one problem. Another problem was the fur. I spent over 4 weeks doing so many different fur tests. Everyone in my group knows the struggle. And after all the fur tests that were done in ZBrush, we opted for the most simplest fur. That was inspired by triggerfish, actually, triggerfish animation that we found. So it's really simple and sweet and storybook-like, and it just kind of made our characters feel more handmade. And yeah, I'm really happy with how it turned out.
My name is Ryan Kusi. For textures, to keep in mind the storybook art style, we opted for a very nice watercolor texture. It's just to keep in, to make it feel like it's more handmade, and you can actually feel the watercolor texture of the characters. It was really hard to find actual really nice ones, because most of them were cell shaded. And yeah, so we basically just yeah.
Hi, my name is Ethan Pitt. I was the lead rigger for Otso. We originally wanted both quadruped and bipedal characters, so we wanted him to be able to switch between the two, but we opted out of that because that was that was going to be too much for the student film. The main problem with Otso was the eyes, which are, as you can see, different. They didn't have sort of eye sockets, so there was no eyelids to blink and all that. So the eyes are very blend shape intensive. And to keep in line with the storybook film, because we originally tried to control every vertice and every point, which made the eyes feel a little bit liquidy. So in order to keep an eye on the storybook aspect of the film, we opted for more like eye replacements, such like stop motion animation. So we opted to rather replace the eyes with shapes that we already had made, and yeah, that's also right there.
Hi, I'm Nicholas Mortlock. So for animation, what kind of works, or the natural parent for storybook kind of aesthetic would be a stop motion feel. And most of the inspiration for animation comes from Sugarfish. But we also wanted to get kind of a kind of subtlety in animation, which was drawn a lot from kind of Pixar. And it's to really make the audience kind of feel connected to the characters in the more dire moments of the film, because it's not all happy. So for the main animation kind of process, we would animate normally, just from reference to locking to splining, on ones normally. Once it's all approved, we actually bake the animation onto every second frame to get that stop motion look. Then once it's in the stop motion kind of look on twos, we should make sure that it still has the same feel, and that all the key poses are hit on every frame, so nothing's missed. And one of the benefits actually of doing every second frame is that you only have to render every second frame. So that's the render time down and off, which is quite the boon. But yeah, that's about it for animation. So yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you very much for listening to our presentation and for your time. And we hope you enjoyed it, and I really look forward to sharing our film with you at the end of the year. To just quickly play the Jared, our lecturer, made a mid-year progress video, and I just need to figure that out. questions, of course. Okay, cool. Way to go, Kristen!
Thanks, guys. That was really cool. I love the treatment and everything. I think it's going to turn out really awesome. So thank you, all of you, for showing us your work. I, for one, am very excited to see how they all turn out, and I'll definitely be waiting with bated breath. Did you guys read that in Modena? It always seems impossible until it's done. Just remember that when you're crying and like 2 o'clock in the morning, you're like, I can't do it. That's just me and I was doing mine, but yeah. So we are nearing the end of our night. Excuse me while I don't make eye contact while I look at my nose. Thank you again to Hector for spending his time to help educate us a little bit. And the students for showcasing your work. It's very inspiring to see the work coming out of the animation school and from you guys. And it's exciting to see like where our industry is going to go with this sort of talent coming out, out of our universities and stuff. It's really exciting. So I did mention prizes. So I've got some very technical questions for you guys to see if you are paying attention to Hector's presentation, okay? They're going to be hard, but I'm sure if you apply yourselves, somebody will be able to answer these. Okay, these will be based on some of the work that he's worked on, namely SpongeBob and Paw Patrol. The first question is, what is the color of SpongeBob's tie? Oh, who shouted it out? Were you the naughty kid in class? But put your hand up and wait until I call on you. You can take it though. Poster or a prize? Poster, that was an easy one. You get a poster. You're welcome. Okay, the next one. This one's a little harder, so I think you'll get the other type of prize. There's 2 tiers of prize. How many dogs are on the Paw Patrol team? Okay, your hand was first there. You're right! Wow! My 2-year-old would be very proud of you. Well done. Okay, guys. Pay attention, please. This one's hard. What breed of dog is the fireman dog in Paw Patrol? German Shepherd. That one was the first hand there. What did you say? Dalmatian, yes. Who said Labrador? It's a fireman dog. They're always Dalmatians. Okay. What is the name of SpongeBob's pet snail? With the red bits on your... Oh yeah, you with the red bits on your jacket. It is Gary. Well done. Okay, the next question is, what is SpongeBob's best friend's name? Whoa, come on. Okay, you hold my eye there, man, standing up. Patrick what? Yes, okay, you can take it. Patrick Star. Yeah. Are you more a Superman stan or a Batman stan? Batman. Okay, and the last one. Where does SpongeBob live? Oh, come on, man. With the blue denim, I think it is, jacket. Yes, bikini bottom, you got it. Well done, guys. You started from the bottom and now you're here. Okay, cool. I hope you guys, in your break, utilize your time wisely to go like the social media pages. Your prize is that you're now part of the animation community in South Africa. Well done. So let's talk about the serious competition, the real one. You're not going to win the prize now because it's a very big cash prize. So sorry, we don't carry that kind of cash on us here. This competition from Autodesk is launching on June the 25th. So because you guys are special, I'm giving you some advance notice so you can think of your concepts and stuff for it. You'll have 8 weeks to create a short animation. It's like 5 to 10 seconds. It's either going to be a 3D character in a 3D environment or a 2D character in a 3D environment. There's got to be some element of 3D, and you're obviously, because it's Autodesk month, you're using Autodesk products to make it. The theme is crossing a threshold into another realm, so there's a lot of room for creativity there. You'll need to submit a concept sketch, renders of the environment, and obviously your final cinematic render. Some assets will be provided to you, so don't panic. 8 weeks will be ample time. If you apply yourself, like Hector said, it's all about the hard work. It doesn't matter how clever you are, you've got to work hard. The prize, I mean, that's the most important part. 10,000 Rand for the character category prize, animated character. For the motion graphics category, it's 5K, so I suggest you guys get thinking about the competition. I mean, you'd be smart to enter, you'd be a dumbass not to. It's pretty easy for that kind of money. So yeah, start applying yourselves, think about your concepts. I know you're busy with your projects and stuff, but I mean, it's 10 grand, so you've got time to think about it before launches on the 25th. You'll see more details once it launches. Go like the Cape Town International Animation Festival page, go like the Modena Media and Entertainment page, so you'll see exactly when it launches. And if you need any further information, then you can email marketing@modename.co.za. And that's it for tonight, guys. Thank you for joining us. I hope you had fun.